Hey friend, Josh Spurlock here, founder of MyCounselor.Online, and I want to share with you some insider secrets about the counseling field. Now, specifically around insurance versus self-pay when it comes to counseling. Like if you're in the field, you know these things, but if you're not a counselor, you're not in the mental health field, then you probably don't. And what it has to do with is the ins and outs of insurance and why the very best counselors don't accept insurance, which I know is super downer because if you've got health benefits, you probably have behavioral health benefits that are part of that. You're thinking, I pay for my insurance, my company pays for my insurance. I want to take full benefit of that. Like I actually want to get the resources from it. But here's the problem. Insurance is notoriously difficult to work with. Like they like to deny claims. They like to have really pain in the butt processes for submitting claims. They prefer to deny claims rather than pay out money. So they create all these hoops that you have to go through to process it. And all of that creates administrative headache. And either the counselor has to do themselves or they have to pay some agency to navigate those things. And so it's just real obnoxious. And there's real liability associated with it. That when you're in network, you're contracted with insurance companies, you agree to their process for doing counseling and to do counseling based on what they think should be done for different presenting issues, which can be a real issue, particularly if you're engaging in faith-based counseling, where you may approach things differently than the secular field would have you do so. And so you get liability issues that are in place there. And the administrative burden of the process not only is costly in terms of time, but it's costly in terms of money and what you have to put out there in order to work with the insurance agency. And that all may be really worth it if the insurance actually reimburse at a really good rate. But it generally does not. That is, the insurance companies don't pay market rates for counselors, they pay discounted rates to the counselors. So the counselors cannot get paid very well through insurance. And so the headache that's involved, the expense that's involved, the liability that's involved, and the reality that insurance companies tend to only authorize like 6 to 12 sessions of counseling, which on the counselor side, for some issues, 6 to 12 sessions is all that you need. But for most issues, that's only the beginning of work, that you're going to need more than 6 to 12 sessions to address the underlying issues. And so they only give you enough sessions to manage symptoms, not really address the root issues underneath a person's difficulties. And so it's band-aid type work, which gets really old for counselors. Like counselors got into this work to see you have life transformation, for you to have wholeness, and for you to experience fullness of life going into the future. We don't just want to put band-aids on problems to have them reoccur and reoccur. And so it's really unrewarding work when all we get to do is put a band-aid on a problem because the person we're working with is using their insurance benefits. They're only going to come for the number of sessions that their insurance allows, and then they're going to stop work. And so you never actually get to see the work through to completion. It's really soul sucking for counselors to do that, which is why the behavioral health field as a whole has like a 60% a year turnover rate in agencies that work with insurance, because it wears you out. It's really doesn't pay well. It's really irritating and frustrating to deal with, and it doesn't provide you the number of sessions that you need to actually address people's issues. So for all of those reasons, the very best therapists don't accept insurance. They only work with folks that are paying self-pay and are able to commit to and do the work to see it through to completion and actually have a really rewarding process, both for the client as well as for the counselor. So this is a big deal because if you're not in the field, you don't know that. And you think, oh, I'm just going to use the counselor that's in my network so I can get my benefits. But you're not going to get the best counselor that route. And you're going to get counselors that are used to doing band-aid work, not those used to doing transformational work. And so they don't even really have the experience doing the kind of work that you really need in order to have lifelong transformation and change, because all they get to do day in and day out is band-aid kind of work. And so it's just an entirely different experience working as part of insurance networks, of which you don't have to really pass a very high bar to be a part of those networks. In fact, all you have to do is apply, have the right degree, and have meet licensure requirements, and you can be a part of those networks. And they have a shortage of providers, so they're always trying to find providers for their network because people burn out and turn over in that world so frequently. And so whether you're a good counselor, you're a terrible counselor, if you have the degree, have a licensure, you can be a part of those networks, and they just farm clients out to you. So that whole dynamic is not what we at My Counselor Online feel like we were called to do. We feel like God called us to provide the very best counseling experience that people can find. And so we reverse engineered that optimum experience into the process and an organization to support the process to provide you with the very best counseling experience you can have. So people don't just apply to be a part of our team. We're not a network of independent contractors. All the counselors at My Counselor Online are my employees. And them having the right degrees and meeting the right requirements is just the beginning place for them to even be able to apply. If they apply without that, we don't even look at their application. But once they apply, we have a 10-step rigorous process whereby we limit down to 2% of applicants, those that we hire. And when we hire them, we don't just start throwing clients at them. We matriculate them into a 2-year postgraduate residency, like a residency for physicians following med school, where we train them through rotations and different counseling presenting issues, and we supervise them, we develop them so that we can watch the work that they're doing, know that they're doing high quality work, and have a continual feedback loop for their work so they keep getting better over time. And that's how we achieve a 93.6% success rate with the folks that we work with. There's a process by which we get there that is very different than what you get from insurance networks or marketing machines like BetterHelp that do not employ their counselors, don't train their counselors, don't supervise their counselors. They're just a marketing machine for independent contractors that sign up to be a part of their network. My Counselor Online is an entirely different animal. We have an entirely different approach to doing this work, and that's what allows us to have the level of success that we do. I'm grieving with you that the world isn't different and that insurance wasn't so broken and that it actually worked to help people find wholeness rather than just to keep them out of the hospital by managing their symptoms for another benefit year. But that's just the brokenness of that system and why really good counselors don't work within that system. And that's not just the really good counselors that we have at My Counselor Online and why we're not in network with any insurance companies, but that's lots of private practice therapists, the very best practice, very best therapists in this field in private practice don't accept insurance for these exact same reasons that we at My Counselor Online don't accept it. Now, does that mean that you can't receive benefits from your insurance working with a My Counselor Online counselor? Not necessarily. We have lots of clients that receive what are called out-of-network benefits for working with one of our counselors. So they're depending on what their out-of-network benefits are with their insurance, we provide the information that they need to self-submit to their insurance, and many of them do get some level of reimbursement for the work. So they pay for their counseling, then they submit for out-of-network reimbursement to their insurance, and then they receive at whatever level their policy is set up for some level of reimbursement for the work that they're doing. So insurance might help in your situation. We don't have any control over that, and we can't operate within the insurance world system and still provide the high quality care that we do, but it is something that many clients receive benefit from. So that's the scoop. That's the inside scoop in the counseling world around insurance versus self pay and why the best counselors, including our counselors and My Counselor Online, are not in network with your insurance. I'm sorry that it's that way, but I'm not sorry that we've got a way of taking care of you and your family that actually works and can help you achieve the results that you have. So that's the scoop.